So as I've been searching for new video topics to go over with you guys, something came out pretty recently that was actually very relevant to the type of things that I'm knowledgeable in and teach and try to teach on this channel, mainly about crypto security and how to protect yourself against phishing, against scams, against all these different things to help protect you and your crypto. And there's a couple of things that I want to go over today. There's a story that's happening right now where crypto is being stolen by home invaders. I'm going to go over a story for you that happened recently and kind of go over some different things that you can do to protect yourself, some different things that might help you avoid what we're about to go over. And there's a story about a man in Florida who got together a bunch of criminals and started targeting people who have crypto and was doing a sophisticated version of what's called a $5 wrench attack. And for those that are new to crypto or don't know what a $5 wrench attack is, a $5 wrench attack is basically a criminal or someone in your home that comes to you, buys a $5 wrench, and threatens to beat you to death with it unless you hand over your private keys or your crypto. So having a hardware wallet is obviously good for your own personal storage and your own personal safety, but there's not a lot that you can do if someone already knows that you have crypto, and then they'll threaten you or your family and beat you to death or torture you until you decide to give it up. So I'm going to cover this story real quick, and I'm going to give you not just what happened in the story, but how you can actually protect yourself from this thing happening to you in the future. So I'm going to briefly touch on this. We'll go over it in here just a second. This just came out maybe 4 or 5 days ago as of filming this, and it says a federal jury in North Carolina has found a Florida man, Remy St. Felix, guilty of orchestrating a series of violent home invasions aimed at stealing Bitcoin and other crypto assets from targeted victims. The 24-year-old Remy St. Felix of West Palm Beach, Florida, led a group that targeted cryptocurrency owners across multiple states between September 22 and July of 2023. Now again, this story just came out, but it's indicating that this has been going on for a couple of years. So this is not a new phenomenon. It says the robberies took place in Durham, North Carolina, as well as locations in Florida, Texas, and New York. And it involved breaking into homes, kidnapping residents, and forcing them to transfer their cryptocurrency holding. In one particularly harrowing incident in April of 2023, St. Felix and an accomplice assaulted a victim in their own home, restraining them with zip ties and threatening violence against both the victim and their spouse. This attack resulted in the theft of over $150,000 worth of cryptocurrency. I'm going to stop there for a second. This is a sophisticated version of a $5 wrench attack, where you get kidnapped, you get abducted. This was obviously targeted. This was obviously strategic. We'll get more to that into the story here. The conviction here, because this guy got caught, comes at a time when cryptocurrency-related crimes remain a significant concern. According to Chainalysis, while the total value of stolen crypto decreased from $3.7 billion in 2022 to $1.7 billion in 2023, the number of individual hacking incidents actually increased from 219 to 231 over the same period. So hacking implies that theft or deceit or transfer of funds happens strictly online. But hacking, you can actually hack a person just like you can hack a computer. All you have to do, and it applies both the same way, you just have to find their weak spot. Now, continuing the story, but the crimes of St. Felix and his crew introduce a real-world element of danger as they employed sophisticated methods to identify and target victims, including unauthorized access to email accounts and physical surveillance. They also used encryption and anonymous financial transactions in an attempt to avoid detection. The FBI played a crucial role in bringing St. Felix to justice, according to the DOJ, arresting him in July of 23, and as he was en route to commit another crime and home invasion in New York. So I'm going to touch on that last part here, where they were using sophisticated methods to identify and target victims, including unauthorized access to email accounts and physical surveillance. And then, of course, they also used encryptions and anonymous financial transactions in an attempt to avoid getting caught. So there's a few things that I want to cover here. This person obviously got caught. They were successful for a time, but the FBI tracked him, was able to kind of count down to what they were doing, and now the guy's on trial. To end this real quick before I go into how you can avoid this happening to you at any point in the future, it says 13 of his co-conspirators have already pleaded guilty for their involvement in the scheme. The jury found St. Felix guilty on 9 counts, including conspiracy, kidnapping, Hobbs Act robbery, wire fraud, and brandishing a firearm in furtherance of crimes of violence. He faces a minimum of 7 years in prison with the possibility of a life sentence. St. Felix is scheduled to be sentenced on September 11th. So there's a couple of ways that people like this are able to track down and target certain individuals that are susceptible to these kind of attacks. Now, some of these things that I'm going to talk about are going to seem very basic and very common sense, but you're also going to be surprised at how many people don't follow this. Their ego gets in the way, they slip up, they're not paying attention. But let's go over the first thing that you can do to avoid from this ever happening to you. Now, this is a general rule of thumb. Each situation for each person is going to differ, but number one, don't tell people that you have crypto. Don't brag about it. Don't talk about it in person at a party when you're drinking. Don't brag on Reddit. Don't brag online. Don't let people know how much money you've made with crypto. Don't go into announcing all your trades, what you've been doing, how much money you made. People on Facebook, on Reddit, on Telegram, even commenting on YouTube videos sometimes give away too much information that will indicate to people that I'm involved in crypto, number one. Number two, I'm making a lot of money. Whether or not that's true is completely irrelevant, but bragging and telling people online, especially strangers, or even people that you know, you'd be also surprised at how many of these types of attacks come through a source of people that personally know you and have ways of hiring people, colluding with people, conspiring with people to take that information and use it against. That's the first thing that's completely obvious, is if people don't know you have crypto, or people don't have a lot of information and you're not bragging about it to other people, the chances of you being discovered and actually having a target placed on your back is obviously much, much lower. The second thing, and again, this is a little less obvious, but it all goes back to taking responsibility of your own safety, your own security, and your own private keys. But of course, don't leave your private keys online. Don't leave them on a software wallet. Don't leave them on an exchange. When you do that, it makes it a lot easier for them to hack you directly online, as opposed to impersonating you, potentially using AI to do this, than it is to physically come to your house and force you to do it. Now, by having a hardware wallet, it physically protects your Bitcoin or your crypto private keys in order to make sure that you're not being hacked on an online interface. The flip side to that is that obviously if you're targeted as someone that has, say, a Ledger or a Trezor or any other type of crypto hardware wallet, you could be targeted. Now, a good example of this is when Ledger got hacked about 1 or 2 years ago. All the information, all people's names, addresses, phone numbers, all of those types of things were leaked onto the dark web and then given out and sold to the highest bidder. Now, this gives people a physical way to track you down, whether you live there still or not, to try to identify, okay, at least this person has a hardware wallet, which means they have crypto that they want to protect offline. And then they can go deeper and deeper into there. Once they have a list of everyone's name, home address, phone number, and other identifying information, what they can actually do is then do a follow-up phishing attack, social engineering attack, in ways to identify how much crypto you might actually have, might trick you into giving away information that might allude to how much you have. And in this case of St. Felix, he was able to identify and actually successfully take $150,000 worth of crypto from someone who is being attacked and kidnapped and extorted in person. Just to recap, make sure that you're not clicking on any suspicious links. If there's any link from an email that you don't know, even if it looks legit, even if it looks like it came from Ledger or Trezor or insert hardware wallet provider here, don't click it ever. Don't click on it if it is something that says you need to click here to take action to do something, whether it's click here to make sure you're secure, click here to blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter. If you ever get an email from a crypto hardware wallet provider that is asking you to click on that link to accomplish something, chances are 99.9% of the time, it's because they want you to get information. They can then keylog you, they can track you over the internet, and from there they can learn more personally identifying information from you. Sometimes they will track you for weeks, months, and in some cases even years, to where they'll gather a personal profile. As we saw in the article, it was them being a mix of being tracked online as well as physically being surveilled. So what you really want to do is just avoid clicking anything that seems suspicious. And I know this is common sense for most people, but sometimes, and I've been guilty of this in the past, sometimes we click on emails without looking at who the sender is, making sure that it's valid, and you're just sort of on autopilot because you're looking at emails all day, whether it be for work or other things. But you have to be so careful when you're clicking on links, whether it's through a cryptocurrency provider that wants you to validate something, or if it's someone that comes through like a Microsoft email or an Apple email or something like that. There's very sophisticated ways for you to click on a link that you're not supposed to, and then they can keylog you and track you on your computer from there on out. So that's a big one. Obviously, number one, don't brag about and make public your involvement in crypto and or how much money you're made and or involved in forums. Don't make yourself a public figure. Someone like myself, I have so many contingencies in place where I'm prepared for an event like that, believe it or not. But if you want me to go into a deeper video, not obviously giving personal information, but other tactics that I've used to go to the extreme to protect myself from the $5 wrench attack, I'll let you know, and comment down below if you want me to go into in depth in that. But in general, those are the three most common sense things that you can do to protect yourself. If they don't know that you have crypto, you're not going to be a target. If you're someone that's public, let's say you're a YouTuber with lots of followers, you're some sort of influencer, you're someone that has made public that they've made a lot of money in crypto, you're likely going to be a much more of a target as opposed to someone that keeps silent and only keeps the information to themselves or to trusted individuals. Paranoia really serves you in this particular instance. Being extra safe is far better than being a little loose and laissez-faire when it comes to protecting yourself and your private keys and your crypto. Remember, privacy is a superpower, especially when it comes to your wealth and especially when it comes to your digital assets. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, you know, if you're watching this, you don't want to leave your private keys online, leave them on a software wallet, because that takes the virtual attack vector out of the equation. But again, if you have a hardware wallet, if you have something, you physically have it in your possession, you obviously want to store your seed in a different place, and I mean your recovery seed, in a different place than your physical hardware wallet. And then the last tip I'll give you, and I'll go into depth if you want in a different video, but the last tip I'll give you is, let's say you're in that worst case scenario where all of those things happened, yet you're still able to get tracked down, you get kidnapped, you get tied up, you get beaten with a $5 wrench, so to speak, and they come to you and they say they're going to kill your wife or your kids or a family member or you if you don't transfer the crypto to an address of their choosing. And it's literally a life or death situation at that point. What I would recommend doing is, if you use a hardware wallet, and I'll give you two hardware wallet examples off the top of my head. They just so happen to be linked down below in the description, so go ahead and check those out if you want to have this extra protection. But if you're using, say, the Trezor Safe 3 or the new Trezor Safe 5, or if you use the Engrave 0. Now, other wallets do have them. These are just the two that I use. But these two wallets have what's called a hidden wallet feature. And what this does is it allows you to sign in front of, say, someone's kidnapped you. They're watching you access your hardware wallet. They've now threatened your life or your loved ones, and they're asking you to sign in and transfer them crypto. When you have a hidden wallet, what you can do is you can actually have crypto, a certain amount of crypto, sort of as like a decoy or a dummy wallet in this hidden wallet. So that way when they see you log in to transfer, you can actually show them, like, okay, well, I'll use an example. Put maybe a quarter Bitcoin or less in one wallet and the rest of your holdings in your main wallet. And that way, if they're there and they're physically intimidating you, you can actually open up your hidden wallet, send them that amount, and then at least you're not giving away your entire fortune. Obviously, another way to do this is to have multiple hardware wallets and decentralize your holdings so you don't have all of your holdings in one particular wallet. Now, if you are able to convince them in that scenario that, hey, all my crypto's on this one wallet, that's all I have, you know, if they did their due diligence, maybe they won't believe you. But if you're convincing in that particular scenario, having your crypto spread out over multiple wallets puts extra responsibility on you to make sure that it's protected, to make sure that it's stored correctly, to make sure that you have access. But let's say you only have one hardware wallet, like I said. If you use one of the ones in the description, Trezor or Engrave, you can actually set up a hidden wallet so it looks real. So if the attacker is looking over your shoulder as you're signing in, it'll only show the hidden wallet. They won't actually see your main wallet. And there's a lot of cool features with that as an extra protection over this $5 wrench attack, where there's physical intimidation and it's a life or death scenario. So if you weren't aware of that, that's a huge feature. And that's something that I've also personally used in the past. And I use a lot of different methods to secure and decentralize my crypto private key holdings. So I'm going to go into depth in a future video into all of the different ways that you can decentralize and protect yourself, so that all of your cold storage, or so that all of your long-term storage holdings are not actually stored in one wallet, in one address, on one device. It's very complex and it's very cumbersome, and it takes personal responsibility and to be very organized to make sure that you don't mishandle or lose your own funds. But I also want to say that if you're extra paranoid or you have a lot of money stored away, there's a proper way to do this. And it goes against convention in a lot of ways, because normal convention assumes that people that have that kind of money aren't well trained in security, and some of them are and some of them aren't. For example, they always say if you have a 24-word seed phrase, they say don't ever split up those phrases, because if you do, you have one, the chance of someone that could potentially find them, or two, you as an owner individual are likely to misplace it and mishandle it. But there's ways to do it, including having a passphrase feature, where if you do decentralize it, especially using the Shamir backup and the new Slip 39 protocol on the new Trezor Safe 5, there's different ways that you can do it and still be protected, where you'll need more pieces of the puzzle in order to redeem or to access your private keys. Yes, it makes it more complex, but at the same time, it protects you from a single point of failure. And I think that's the most important part when it comes to securing your own private keys. If someone can physically hack you, or virtually hack you, or hack you anyway online, this will give you that extra layer of protection and a backup and a fail-safe if, God forbid, any of these things happen to you. So I hope this was helpful. This story just illustrates that these types of attacks, these $5 wrench attacks as they're called, are on the rise. And the best way for you to avoid all this is to just follow common sense. Don't make it public. Don't post your wallet addresses online. Don't make any way that they can track you or identify you very obvious. If they were to spend 10 minutes on Twitter or Reddit or any of the crypto forums, things like that. And I think you're going to put yourself in a very huge position. Even people like myself that are online and make videos about this kind of stuff, I have so many fail-safes in place that there's no way that they can extract my private keys, even if they wanted to. So I'll go into more depth on how you can personally do that. It's going to be a longer, more, we'll call it convoluted episode, but I wanted to give you the kind of the basic surface level things that everyone can do right now, no matter if you're a beginner or you're an expert or somewhere in between. I basically just want to let you know that be vigilant, watch out, and covering those things that we just talked about will put you 99% ahead of most people. And if you want more of like those advanced user tips, comment down below. I will do a methodical way, step by step, to go into that if that's something you want more in depth. I kind of think that I'm like one of the only people that nerds out on this and really only wants the very high level sophisticated ways of securing yourself. But if you find that valuable, comment down below and I'll make that video for you guys. And until next time, click on this video right here on the screen if you don't want to wait for my next video. And until next time, Crypto Renegade out.